Staff and faculty at PCC campuses have been on strike for 2 weeks now, but thanks to a tentative agreement just reached tonight, the 700 staff members could be headed back to work as soon as Monday. The faculty members, however, continue to negotiate with PCC to end their part of the historic strike. Tonight, PCC and the Federation of Classified Employees both sent a statement saying that a tentative contract agreement has been reached. A ratification vote is set for tomorrow, and the union says its staff members will return to their jobs on Monday if they vote in favor of the deal. Meanwhile, PCC faculty members, represented by a totally different union, are still negotiating with the administration. Earlier today, the Federation of Faculty and Academic Professionals called upon Oregon Governor Tina Kotek to step in and demand a fair settlement. PCC tells us the administration has been in contact with the governor and is providing updates on negotiations. We've reached out to the governor's office for a statement. This is the 15th day of this strike.